Welcome you guys, and for today's video I decided to revamp the talking point series. Instead of focusing on points straight after a game, why not talk about general Chelsea talking points that's happening throughout the week. So from now on, that's how the talking point series is going to be, and in today's video I'll be speaking about the latest on Edinson Cavani and the loan bid the club made. I'll speak about KEPA, Emerson and N'Golo Kante. It's going to be a jam-packed video. I think you guys are going to like this one, and in the comment section below I really want to read people's thoughts and opinions on the video because, you know, I talk about a lot of things today. And one more thing you guys, if you like today's video, if you like the revamp of the series, and smash that like button, help me get over 2,000 likes for today's video. And now we get straight into the first talking point, and that's in regards to the latest happening around Edinson Cavani. Now the Telegraph have broken the latest news surrounding the player, and the news is we have made a 5 million loan bid to Paris Saint-Germain for Edinson Cavani. Paris Saint-Germain do not like the offer. Instead, they prefer to sell the player at 50 million euros, so that's about 12.6 million pounds. We even offered Paris Saint-Germain the opportunity to fully pay all of Edinson Cavani's 360k per week wages, but they rejected that, and that does make sense. In the grand scheme of things, they'd be missing out on profits, so why would they do that? Paris Saint-Germain are in control, and it really comes down to what Atletico Madrid do. Now recently they did have an 8.5 million bid turned out by Paris Saint-Germain, and at this point in time it comes down to whether Atletico Madrid can find the resources for the deal. Now, one thing that we constantly forget about is financial fair play. This stops clubs from just spending recklessly. Yeah, clubs could afford to pay that 360k per week deal to Cavani, but if it's not going to help the business, if they can't balance the books, then it can't work. They still need to free players off their wage bill, 3 to be precise, and at this point in time, we wait to see what Atleti do and whether they come back with a new bid. Now, I'm not trying to gas this story up. You guys know that I like to be objective, so let's talk about some other realities. And that reality is, we all know the quotes that have come out from Cavani's parents, but they've basically said that Cavani has given his word to Atletico Madrid that he would sign for them, but that depends on whether they actually sign Cavani in the first place. If Atleti do, currently they'd be number 1 when it comes to signing him, with us naturally being number 2. But who knows what happens, because in the summertime there was no Chelsea interest. So now that we are interested, now that we can offer London and so many things that could benefit the player and his family, I feel like we wouldn't easily be dismissed. Now, I had a good discussion on Twitter with a follower, and he brought up the idea that Atletico Madrid have a lot of business working with third-party companies. You know, they were recently involved in the deal to bring João Felix from Benfica to Atletico Madrid, and in that sense, they could probably help to fund the deal for Cavani. I'll leave his tweets beside me, and I'll give my opinions, and you guys, you know what I'm about to say. We need to sign Edinson Cavani at all costs. At every single cost. It's an investment. That is the number 1 reason why he's the best player to sign, because he's the best player we can possibly sign in this January window. Who's the second closest player that compares to the player that we could buy? Absolutely no one. We need goals. That's one thing we're missing out on. And I just can envision that Lampard has a future where he sees Cavani and Tammy Abraham playing up front together, and we play with a diamond. Now, if you guys want to hear more of my thoughts on this, earlier today I did release a video on Edinson Cavani, 4 ways in which Lampard can use the player. It's a big video. I hope you guys like it. Make sure you tune in. And just to give my closing thoughts, for everyone that wants world-class players to come to the club, well, the summer is your salvation. But to get to that point where we can sign these players, we need a top 4 finish, you guys. The money that's going to come in from securing Champions League football, plus all the other money we have from last season, it's ridiculous. So even though Cavani could be pricey, I personally feel like that short-term investment is going to have so much long-term gain. And boys, on that point, we move on to the second talking point, and that's in regards to KEPA. Now let me get the plug straight out of the way. Today's video is brought to you by the OneFootball app. It's convenient, it's quick to use. Download the OneFootball app. You will find a link below in the description. Get access to the latest news from across Europe. It's the January window, you guys. If you want news straight to your phone, straight on the dot, the OneFootball app is perfect for that. It's super convenient. So if you guys want this, you will find a link below in the description. Is it time for KEPA to go? Reports came out earlier today suggesting that the club are starting to have doubts on his long-term future. Lampard's asked for scouts to monitor other goalkeepers as well. That's all news that we already know about. But today, one goalkeeper that is on the short list, someone that's being monitored only, is Nick Pope from Burnley. Now I can understand why, for the past few seasons, stats wise, he comes up quite high in those types of rankings. So I can see why he's a player the club would actually look at just in case, but do I think we're going to sign him to replace KEPA? Of course not. So far, KEPA is having a very difficult second season, and I'm wondering why. I was hoping this season that we'd see his game really take on leaps and bounds from the previous season, but the stats this season, well, they're starting to talk, and KEPA isn't really performing too well in any of these rankings. He's coming near the bottom for most of them. And it gets you thinking, we invested 71 million on this player, we gave him a 6-year contract, he's earning nearly 195k per week. This is ridiculous amounts of money we spent on a player. We should be expecting a better level of performance. I think that's safe to accept. But you guys know that I love to think about the actual practicalities of how these things could work, and a part of me feels like, okay, let's say the window's open, we've put KEPA on the market, well, who's actually going to buy him? I mean, remember, 71 million, probably 4 years left, it's nearly 200k per week. How many clubs can afford to spend that type of money on a goalkeeper? The only club I feel that could potentially even look at him would be Juventus, because since Buffon's left, there is a window available for a keeper to go there, and KEPA and Sarri have worked together before, so who knows? But I just think the hassle of just securing a transfer fee for him wouldn't make any sense, and we wouldn't get anywhere near the type of money we spent on him. In total, KEPA would cost us 140 million over the length of his contract, plus the transfer fee on top. We'd be lucky to get 30 million for the goalkeeper, and because we'd miss out on so much money, I personally feel that it wouldn't make sense to sell the goalkeeper. The best solution I personally feel is that we need to sign competition for KEPA. Over the past few seasons, I've seen so many examples of this from different clubs. I've seen it at Paris Saint-Germain with Areola and Sirigu. I've seen it at Barcelona with ter Stegen and Bravo. I saw it at Man City as well, Arsenal with Leno and Cech, and Real Madrid with Courtois and Keylor Navas. It happens time and time again. This is the best solution. Have two good goalkeepers fight out to get the number one spot. It's only going to excel both of them to compete against each other to really raise their game, and that's the best solution, you guys. Right now, is Caballero quality backup for KEPA? Of course not. We can't just discard him like that. It would be too irresponsible. We have financial fair play criteria to meet, you guys. We're a club that we need to get the maximum amount of money for every single player we let go of. I feel like we have to see the situation realistically and find realistic solutions. If you look at the market, there's no Alisson available right now that you could spend big money to sign. And I'll let you guys know in tomorrow's video, I'm going to be breaking down some goalkeeping targets that I feel could be quality competition for KEPA. So stay tuned for that. And just to give my final closing thoughts, we know that when it comes to the XG for shot stopping, KEPA is performing very low this season. But another stat that is being criminally overlooked is that the amount of quality shots that we're allowing KEPA to have to save is way too high. If you look at the big clubs, the big keepers, are Edersons, Alissons having to make the same type of saves as KEPA? Of course not. That's because as a team, their defensive structure is on another level. Defensively, they're much more coherent as well. And I feel the major big problem with us is not our defense, not even the goalkeeper, but it's that defensive structure. We leave too many big gaps between the lines and it punishes us every single time. We can see too much on the counter-attacks as well. And this is why most of the times we're seeing goals gone past KEPA, it's actually coming from one-on-ones. This shouldn't be happening in the first place, you guys. Now, I want to move on to the third talking point, and that's in regards to N'Golo Kante. Now, I saw some things on social media that really surprised me a bit, and that was people entertaining the idea of even possibly sending N'Golo Kante. Now, the argument is it looking now that Kante's form is starting to dip? And if that's the case, is it the wisest thing to actually cash in on the player and sell him from a premium to bigger clubs? Now, I was thinking about that, and my first thought was, I thought we were trying to become a big club. How can we sell one of our best players to a better club than us and expect to outcompete them? Who would you replace Kante with on the market? No one. And it's got me thinking, we've missed out on 3 big players in Eden Hazard, Courtois and David Luiz. If we had these 3 players in the squad right now, how far up the table would we be? I'd honestly feel like we'd go into the season feeling like we could compete to win the league. And it's got me thinking, why have so many people gone to such a drastic conclusion in regards to Kante? And I try to understand it. With N'Golo Kante, I feel like he's a player that maybe hasn't got the appreciation he needs. Over the seasons, Kante has put in consistently high performances week in, week out. The guy's won leagues. He's a World Cup winner. He's played in some of the biggest games. And maybe we've taken that for granted because this season, the progress of his season has slowed down a tiny bit due to some small knock. Now, I feel like we could blame Sarri for this, who was really forcing the player to come back quicker than he should. And Lampard persisted with that same mentality as well this season. And I think because of the adversity he's faced, it's meant that we haven't seen the superhuman Kante that we've constantly been seeing before. And now we are seeing some average performances from Kante. And I do say average, I wouldn't even say they're bad because Kante doesn't play badly. Sometimes he can just be quiet than other games. I mean, even looking at the WhoScore stats, his player rating is still high for the season. There's only been a few averages mixed in between. And I personally feel like it's a bit reactionary to even entertain the idea of selling Kante. We need to have some experienced world-class players mixed in with the high potential youngsters. That's the whole strategy, you guys. And on that point, we end things with the final talking point, and that's in regards to Emerson and what's happened to the player recently. Now, at the start of the season, Emerson was very impressive. He looked like he had found another level compared to the end of last season, and things were looking really good. But then along comes the international break. He gets that injury playing for Italy. He then gets rushed back sooner than he should have been. He then plays against Liverpool, breaks down very early on in that game, and is then injured again, only to come back and lose that momentum. And I think that's really important, you guys. Emerson was on a high at the start of the season. Defensively, no one was getting past him. The stats backed up his incredible performances. And I feel like as the season's gone on, as his confidence has dipped as well, because we're talking about human beings, we have to humanize the players we see, their form, their confidence, their ability to play. It comes down to other human factors that we all feel and that all come our way. So we have to keep it consistent, you guys. But, I'm comparing some of Emerson's earlier performances to now. And one thing I noticed was that he seemed to look a bit better playing with Pulisic, maybe not even a bit better, much better playing alongside Pulisic. And that was because Pulisic was regularly moving in the half space to receive the ball, leaving Emerson free to make that late man overlapping run down the left hand side. Sometimes with Callum, sometimes with Willian, these guys like to receive the ball out wide, forcing Emerson infield, and I think that's not always his game. Emerson has to be left isolated, free by himself or 1v1. And if you look at our performances, how many times have we seen Emerson being able to go 1v1 against anyone? Looking at his WhoScored ratings, it doesn't even paint the picture of someone that's been awful. It paints a picture of someone that had very good form at the start and is now looking a bit average. The question is, you guys, where does this leave Emerson now? Do we need to remain patient with the player to get back to his form? Or maybe after sustaining so many injuries, maybe his form and his level isn't of the same caliber anymore. Who knows? At this point in time, I don't think it really hurts us to give the player some patience and some time. Hopefully he can get back to his form. Emerson can feel very frustrated in his career. He's shown excellence throughout, but injuries keep affecting what he can do and his game at the very top. And you guys, I'm going to end today's video. In the comment section below, I spoke about a lot of things. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on some of my ideas I brought up, some of my theories. It'd be great to see. And on that note, I'm going to wrap things up and keep things moving. Thank you for watching. I'm EFC. This is Blue Lines TV. See you guys in a bit.